Sustainability in business has now shifted from a nice thing to do to a must-do, and this was the big conversation at the 2016 Sustainable Business Conference here in Nairobi. Wendo attended the conference and now tells us more.
The 2016 Sustainable Inclusive Business Conference gathered hundreds of delegates to discuss the importance of creating businesses that not only value profits, but also the planet and people.
For companies and private sector enterprise, profit, of course, is a leading principle. Without a profit, there won't be the business. But increasingly, and I think in the Netherlands, we are making great strides on that front. And we in certain sectors, I think we're really ahead of others. We have shown that profit, but also people and planet can be combined in such a way that the profit is still there. In fact, I hope that already abundantly there's abundant proof that if you have a company, you're good for your people and the people are happy, that the productivity is much better than when they are squeezed and miserable.
Testament to this is the aspiration of consumers to support companies that implement the Sustainable Development Goals.
General public and in Kenya, only 33% knows about SDGs. But out of those 33% in Kenya, 90% of them, of the general citizens, say that they will buy products from those who are engaging with SDGs. Private sector, this is a awakening call. Because what does it say? In another 5 years, in another 10 years, we will start seeing the citizens of Kenya only buying products from those who are embedding SDGs in their strategies.
You see an increasing consciousness of the consumer who doesn't accept every article anymore. They don't want dirty mobiles. They don't want T-shirts that have been produced by children. They don't want leather or other products which have been produced in horrible circumstances. And basically they don't want wood that comes from unsustainable wood logging.
Although the private sector in Kenya acknowledges the importance of sustainability, heavy reliance on government to set the ball rolling has hindered implementation.
49% of the companies here think that the role of government is critical. And it is government which should take the lead. And whereas, I think in my perspective, the private sector should take the lead. And why should the private sector take the lead? It's because it's business as usual. We are not doing what is called cosmetic sustainable CSR, where we are buying blankets, we are planting trees, and by the way, a lot of companies are talking about planting trees. My very good friend from Cape Savim Al-Shah is insisting that we should be talking about growing trees, because when you plant a tree, it's cosmetic, it's only for a few days. When you grow a tree, it's for many years. Now, 71% of these companies, as I said, are taking action. Or they are planning to take action. But only 13% have started embedding sustainable development goals into their strategies. This is amazing because it tells you that we do not have the tools.
Many of us in Kenya take our country for granted. And I don't think we should continue in that state. We tend to think it's government's responsibility. If we persist in believing it's government's responsibility to make our country sustainable for business, sustainable for the environment, and sustainable for all the things that were brought up in that performance, if we leave it to government, we will fail. We have to participate ourselves.
Despite the slow uptick, companies that are already implementing this strategy have experienced tremendous impact on their bottom lines, both directly and indirectly.
Because the companies focused on addressing issues that were key to their customers, key to their stakeholders, they have actually done very well. And that is why right now the Kenya fly industry is bringing into this country about 60 billion Kenya shillings every year. So the profits are there, the industry looks good, If you look around the room, you see some fantastic flowers. We have a fantastic product. And I think the quality, the success of the business is because they focused on the environment under which they do their businesses.
Going forward, analysts suggest that Kenyan companies looking to grow in sustainability should focus on the employment development goal, which is focused to be the next growth frontier.
The most important SDG in Kenya and globally is about decent work and economic growth. And this is an answer from the private sector. That is SDG number 8. It is interesting, and is interesting because once you provide decent work, I think Dr. Ricky actually said that if you have a clean office, if you have a clean desk, then what does that mean? Production and productivity goes up. So we must provide decent work, and at the same time we must provide economic growth. That is the key SDG for the private sector.